Hey everybody, welcome back to the 1RC YouTube channel. As promised in the last video, we've got another unboxing, this time of the Redcat Shredder. Big 1/6 budget priced behemoth. Surprisingly enough, this thing was like $331 on the Black Friday 20% off deal. I don't see any way of beating that deal in large scale. Its closest competitor, probably double its price. This, like I said in the last video, this one did not come in a retail box. Can't really tell it because I was able to pop the body back out. But the guy's boot went right here and kind of crushed it down. Now this is a PVC body, so the fact that it didn't crack is kind of a miracle. But I really wish that Redcat would include a retail box with this thing, as large as it is. It really could use the protection. They did a great job with the plastic, you know, keep the thing from getting scratched, but apparently getting its head kicked in by a UPS boot wasn't really high on their list. Again, 1/6 scale, but it does use standard 17mm hexes like an 1/8 scale would. A lot of the materials used on this are going to be carryovers from Redcat's 1/8 line. It's just longer and wider, so proven components. It's got a hobby wing speed control, a low kV motor. It does run on 4S, so its lightness is really where it has the biggest benefit. It doesn't need an 8S system because it doesn't weigh as much. So we're going to get the thing unwrapped and get the body pulled off and get a closer look. Okay, now for everybody's favorite part, the plastic removal. This, I really am glad to see that they use this much material, even though it is a PVC body. You can't get really any other bodies in this scale. Redcat doesn't even offer this in a clear that I could find. So kind of want to take care of this one. I will be either Gorilla taping or drywall tape and shoe gooing this body, just to help it last a little bit longer. I'm not a huge fan of the paint scheme, and I'm really not a huge fan of the look of it, but I would have preferred something a little more cab forward, more modern, whereas this looks a little more old school. It does come with the really big molded wing. At least it's not a Lexan wing. But yeah, it looks like a large poly bag, but it's got a little bit of adhesion. Honestly, it just feels like really good static. But probably should have put the body clips back on. I'll tell you what, and again, one of these days I'm going to learn and try not to do this on camera, so we'll be right back. Okay, no sooner than I turned the camera off and had two hands, it took one firm pull to pull the whole thing off. One of these days I'll learn how to hold the camera and do that, but today's not that day. Like I said, it's PVC body. Nothing really to write home about. You can see it's finished in white on the inside. Rather large. I'm standing what I feel like is 3 feet back from this thing. So, large chunk of PVC, screen printed, decals pre-applied. Really nothing to write home about there. This vehicle does come with the same FlySky radio that the Landslide did. Same 2-channel, 2.4 gig, basic radio. Still don't like it. I already have the receiver to get ready to go for my RadioLink RC6 GSV3. Sorry about the jump cut there. My neighbor's got a nasty sounding Duramax, and every time he fires it up, the turbocharger makes a sound only dogs can hear. So not only do you hear that Duramax, but you also hear all the dogs in the neighborhood. Apparently they appreciate how good it sounds too. So back to the truck. Typical warning labels, same as the Landslide. Let's see here. It just tells you don't put the battery in backwards. So pretty much basic stuff there. It does use T-plugs, Dean's connectors for both of the 2-cell batteries. Still using the Still laying the batteries on their side. Again, I don't know how this is going to hold up, but we will reserve judgment for that in a future date. Exact same misprinted label for the 4-cell. It's basically a Hobby Wing waterproof SC8 ESC that is good for 4-cell use. Label says that it'll catch on fire if you use anything more than 2. So hopefully Hobby Wing gets that sorted out. Same 15 kilogram servo, hex fly servo, buried down. There it is. Same 1920 kV for let me rephrase that. This should be, again, a 6-cell motor, 1900 kV, or 1920 kV to be exact. But this motor would be better served on 6-cell, but because it's so light, it doesn't need it. So you have all the torque of that big hunk of a motor in a lightweight chassis. Doesn't need a ton of power to push it along. Really big heat sink on it. I could see mounting a fan up here if you needed it, but unless it gets extremely hot, I don't think it's going to be really needed. One thing I am going to harp on with this truck is the shocks. These have a tendency of getting stuck. Actually, I'm squeezing that as hard as I can, and it is stuck at the bottom of its travel. So I'm going to have to pull the shocks apart and figure out what is going on. It feels like there is a lot of stiction, maybe a bent shock shaft on all 4. Or I'm hoping it's just stiction between the O-ring seals at the bottom of the cartridge. But all 4 shocks are stuck at the top of their travel. Don't know how that happens, but it did. You can see there's no provisions for, or no included sway bars. I'm sure you could find a way to rig them on, but none are included. You got the big wing mount mounted directly to the shock tower. And like the landslide, this is completely symmetrical, left, right, front, back. So your spare parts count is reduced significantly. Let me see if I can flip this thing over. You can see really nice machined aluminum chassis, countersunk holes, nitro style sliding motor mount. I've heard that those are a little bit more difficult on the Redcats to keep adjusted. So if you don't have to change your stock gearing, don't do it. We'll find that out, the first time that I have to change something. I do have steel spur gears for both trucks already here. I also have a shim kit, and I have some 500,000 weight diff oil for the center diffs and 50,000 for the front and rear. From what I understand, the research I've done, that seems to be the hot setup with these. So that will be one change I'm making. Other than that, it's a long wheelbase landslide. If you've seen one, you've seen the other, basically. So I'm hoping that this will be, for somebody like me that does have vision issues, I'm hoping this thing is easier to see and to follow. That was the big appeal. We'll see how that goes. Gonna have to find somewhere big and wide open to run this thing. So that's another question I wanted to ask you guys. I had spoken to one of the readers on the website, and one of the subscribers, Carl B. Shout out to you, man. It's good to hear from you. And I had mentioned that I didn't want to make a video about my eyesight and my story. The bio on my website is kind of the the Cliff Notes version of it, but if that's something you guys would like to hear, I can definitely make a video on that sometime in the very near future. But long story, not so long. Right now, I'm still out of town. I'm taking care of my mom, and just finalized my divorce. So lost my cameraman, and things have been pretty rough. So that's the explanation for the lack of videos lately. I mean, you can tell I'm not in my home shop. I'm just out in the garage here in a little workspace I've carved out. So, but if you'd like to hear a little bit more about my eyesight issues and my experience with RC and the eyesight issues, just drop a comment below. I can make a video on that. But also, if you'd rather me keep the channel RC only, let me know too. That'll really help out. That's about it today for the unboxing of the Redcat Shredder. Hopefully have a running video very soon. as soon as I can get out to run everything in one afternoon, I'm hoping to do so. So we really appreciate you watching. If you are not subscribed already, please do so. Click the bell, be notified of any future videos we upload, and that'll do it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.